What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we are jumping into the final issue of Green Lantern War Journal. This is issue number 12. The epic conclusion is finally upon us. Out in the deep reaches, the dark star of the Fin, John Stewart is battling against a force unlike anything ever seen before, at least in recent history. We have the old god known as Olgrun, a very powerful individual, broken down into pieces. These pieces spread as far as they can be apart, but now he is trying to come back. He wants to use John Stewart as his vessel. But if you guys have been keeping up with Green Lantern John Stewart, you'll know that he has leveled up, that he's not a joke. And if we thought that they couldn't give him any more power, that's about to change. As he fights side by side with Guy Garner and Lantern Shepherd, they have promised that this is going to change the status quo when it comes to Green Lantern Stewart. So, make sure you guys have subscribed to the channel, make sure that you like this video, and with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright gang, we pick up in the final hour. They are doing everything they can to destroy the last of the Radiant host. He knows that they gotta return the Dark Star Ring back to Ajin's crypt. This is when everybody can finally go home. This is when the war ends. As our forces storm the crypt, Bylaw leading the charge. When John Stewart returns Olgrun's ring back to its place, the war will be over. But before John can do so, the Revenant Queen grabs hold of Bylaw. It grabs hold of him, and it deals a deadly blow. And the gravity storm that bound the Revenant Queen to this place has finally been broken. The Radiant hosts are free, with John Stewart grabbing Bylaw. Bylaw, with his dying breath, he tells John Stewart that I'm sorry, that this place was meant to be kept secret, to stay hidden, but they can't leave it now. That John Stewart must now take the ring. He must take Olgrun's ring, keep it safe. But he reminds him that the ring is no mere weapon, not like the rings that you have known. You do not use this ring to fight. You use this ring to command. Back on Earth, we have John Stewart's mother, who is more or less bonded with a fragment of Green Lantern Stewart's will. This has turned her into a living, sentient thing, being now repurposed as armor for John Stewart's mother. This entity is Varin. John Stewart already punked this guy before, and now he's trying to take out John Stewart's mom while he's away. But even John Stewart's mother, along with this fragment of John Stewart, she's holding her own. But with our lanterns back at the Star of the Fin, they battle against the Revenant Queen. She tries to say that Olgrun is an inevitability. The 7 god aspects will be rejoined, and Olgrun's will be upon the universe. That John Stewart's fate is sealed. Olgrun chose him as his vessel. Before this Earth was even formed, this decision was made. Countless of the Revenant Queen's hosts crumbled to dust as she had hunted for him, and worlds beyond counting. And now at last, he has come to claim John Stewart. As we see Olgrun's hands coming through the doorway, coming through the portal, John Stewart remembers what Bylaw told him. Olgrun's ring isn't like a Green Lantern's ring. A Green Lantern's ring is used to build. Olgrun's ring is used to command the children of his will and mind. So long as this ring belongs to John Stewart, he doesn't need to destroy the Revenant Queen. He apologizes for what had happened to her. A once kind, beautiful, and brilliant person. He knows that she was never meant to be this. But John Stewart is able to lock her and all of the Radiant dead away. They still exist, but they can't come back here unless John Stewart brings them back. When he rebuilt the necropolis, he pulled their ships together. The engines are still inoperative. There has been no fuel in them for years. But he reminds them that they don't run on fuel anymore. John telling Guy and Shepherd that they gotta get back to Earth. When he took control of the Radiant, he saw something that demands their help right here, right now. And he's not talking about getting to Earth fast, he's talking about getting there right now. Using Ulgrin's ring, it appears that he can open up some kind of gateway or waypoint that allows him to step through time and space. More or less teleportation. But as we pick up on Earth, Varin and the fragment of Jon Stewart and his mother together battling against this monster. She uses her shield. She uses her lance. And while she battles, Varin was completely unaware that our lantern showed up, with Jon Stewart punching his fist right through the head of Varin. With a giant purple light explosion, Varin dissipates. Now Jon rushing over to his mother. He removes the infection of the Radiant Dead from her neck, prevents it from spreading any further. He now controls this. And Jon, of course, apologizes to his mother for not being here, and she tells him that you don't have to, that you're serving a much higher purpose, that what you're doing has to be more than me, more than yourself. But when his mother says that you have to let me go, he says that he doesn't have to do anything, because a Green Lantern can do anything. This is what takes us to weeks later, and we pick up with this fragment of Jon Stewart and Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's been keeping a close eye on her. The way her design elements repeat across the structure, it's looking more and more natural all the time. She's also beginning to take on a lot of Ellie's mannerisms. He's trying to figure out why all this is happening. Technically, she came from Jon Stewart, not the original Ellie. So he's trying to figure out what all of this really means. And when Jon Stewart activates his ring, what we see is that he more or less took his mother's consciousness into his ring. His mother has become the AI in the ring, if you will. So his mother is always with him, at least in a sense. And then he also has Ellie, though it may not be the original Ellie. It's a construct, a fragment of himself. And this is only a testament to how freaking powerful Jon Stewart has become. In a roundabout way, he has resurrected and given immortality to Ellie and his mother. Now, you could argue that they're not flesh and bone, but that doesn't negate the fact that they are very much who they are. And this could get us down the debate on, is true AI actually worth protecting as much as humanity, as much as human life? That when it gets to a point that you can't even necessarily differentiate, can you not call that a person who has a type of immortality? But with one story ending, Jon Stewart's story is definitely not coming to a close. A whole world to explore, a whole universe to go after. This is simply the next chapter for our Green Lantern, Jon Stewart. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Jon Stewart's adventures will be continuing in Green Lantern issue number 15, we can assume with a Absolute Powers tie-in, and in Green Lantern Civil Corps coming this fall. Now I'm going to be the first one to say it. If Jon Stewart has any issues with these Amazobots, I'm going to be livid. Like, I'm going to still buy it because we're covering it here on the channel, but I'll call BS real quick. Jon Stewart just took on an old god. Granted, a fragment of an old god, but an old god nonetheless. Not only that, he owns Ulgrin's ring now. One of the fragments of Ulgrin's power. He controls the Radiant Dead. He controls an army of the living freaking dead. You can't introduce him to absolute power. What are you talking about? He could come in and mop up the floor in a split second. But more than that, we're also seeing how powerful Jon Stewart is. Manifesting Ellie, taking his mother's consciousness into his ring, more or less making her the mind behind the ring. And I'm sure that she'll be bestowed a grand amount of knowledge or whatever the ring knew beforehand. At least we can assume this. And this is what it looks like, but we're gonna see how it unfolds. Nevertheless, I see dark times on the horizon for Jon Stewart. I feel like this ring is going to end up corrupting him. That he's gonna think he can save save everybody. He brought his little sister back to life. He is able to make his mother immortal. He took down an old god. Having that ring attached to his finger, I think it is only going to cause trouble, that it is going to lead to something of a disaster. I think this is going to lead us into something like Blackest Night. Consider everything going on with the emotional spectrum, with the Lord Premier, and then Hal Jordan out here getting a set of rings completely separate from anything and everybody else, them having their own central battery protected on Earth that nobody but Hal Jordan knows about. I think Jon Stewart might become a villain in the near future. He has amassed a grand amount of power. He's become ascended. The Radiant Queen said pretty adamantly that Jon Stewart is fated to be Ulgrin's vessel. I think that this is going to happen in the future. At this point, I think it's just a matter of time before it does. All in all, this was a pretty good series. I gotta say, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I have loved seeing Jon Stewart on the rise. Coming up from just a grunt, to becoming a Green Lantern, to becoming ascended, to being able to take in the Godstorm, to facing Ulgrin. He sure as hell has become one heck of a powerhouse. And if he gets corrupted to the dark side, it's gonna take a lot more than Amanda Waller and Amazo 2.0's with Failsafe to stop his wrath. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that has been going on with Jon Stewart, go ahead, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It'll get you completely caught up on everything that has been going on with this series. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. Much like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50, from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but you are getting tons of perks in the process. Now, if you're unable to do this, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit that notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.